Hi everyone, my name is Taaye. I'm an artist based in Vancouver. Like many of you artists out there, I'm always looking for ways to explore different opportunity in showing and expanding my network beyond my current location. I've heard about the other affair through a friend, and I thought, before I throw in all the money, maybe I should actually travel down and check out the fair first. So last week I went down to Los Angeles to check out the Art Art Fair by Saatchi. The Art Art Fair is a very reputable art fair with several locations throughout the world, including Sydney, London, Chicago, New York, and Dallas. I brought back some with me some of the insights and logistics from interviewing artists and collectors there. Can't wait to share with you all.
Hey, welcome back to my channel. So today I have the honor to invite Taaye and Anna to the video talking about the other art fair. Can you introduce yourself a little bit, Anna? What you do? And it's although the second time you are on the channel, but maybe some updates.
Hi, my name's Anna Stump, and I am an artist, former educator, and I live in the high desert outside of Joshua Tree in California. It's a rural place, very beautiful. I am still a painter. I'm still working as a studio artist, but I also am more of a social practice artist. So I have some involvement in some entrepreneurial projects, including we run a residency here, very small one, and I run a miniature golf course called Mojave Land. And I'm also on a political committee now. So that's sort of an interesting new twist that in the last year has really ramped up because I'm the chair of the committee now and dealing with city politics. So it's sort of fun and interesting.
Hi, my name is Taaye. I am a watercolor artist based in Vancouver, Canada. I am ethically Chinese. Yay! But I've been living in North America for about 17, 18 years already between Canada and the US. I've also lived in several other countries, so a lot of my artwork is about my experience moving around in my young 20s and my young 10s and talking about the feelings and emotions that relate to those kind of experience. Specifically, I love using the motif of a bird called cockatoo because that's one of my the bird that I deal with when I was in Hong Kong as a child.
Oh, what is that? Is that a cute little?
This is
Oh,
Power Cat.
hello. Hi, it's like a puma. Actually, both Anna and Taaye had participated, visited the other art fair. So that's what brought us together today, talking about your experience, your individual personal experience, and together we can come to a conclusion whether it is worth it to participate, to show your art at the other art fair. Maybe we can start with this particular fair in Los Angeles. What was the overall experience?
It was in somewhere in Santa Monica.
Yeah, it was in the hangar, right?
Yes, it was in the hangar. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. That's a
yeah.
great space.
And you have to definitely have to drive there. But once you drive there, there was like live music. There was food vendors outside of the venue. You know, you check your ticket. There was lights and live music. It was very very lively. There was about I counted 150 artists in the venue this time. There was a lot of people visiting. So I see a lot of artists being really busy talking to the other artists or like talking to potential customers. Everyone seems to be enjoying what they're doing, including the customers and the artist.
I showed my art 3 times at the Saatchi Other Art Fair, and it alternates from downtown LA and Santa Monica. So I think every other time, and you'd have to check their schedule. The venue in downtown was what I did first, and it was in the fashion district. It's more of an industrial district. That parking is good, and I think that Saatchi takes care of that. They're making sure that the collector, the visitor, has a really good experience. Easy to park, lots of what you said, food, definitely bar, fun atmosphere. It's clean. It's really it's well lit. I participated 3 different times and I had 3 different experiences. So the first time was downtown, and I participated with a commercial collection of work that I do, which is paintings of florals and I do it with a partner, and we had a very successful fair. And I was in a group. I was actually not in a great spot. I was upstairs, so people had to come to a second. They had to go up a flight of stairs, but there were I was sort of in the middle, and there were two people on either side, and then three booths across from me. In that fair, all six of us sold, and it was sort of wow. I don't know. I was like, this is great. I think we sold probably $7,000 or $8,000 worth of artwork, and selling a pretty big painting for us, which was like a $3,800 painting. So that was extremely exciting. And we sold some smaller work. And when in the other art fair, they take the work with them. You have a blank on your wall, and you sort of miss that little red dot. And so everybody was putting the little red dots on the side of their booth, like, oh, I sold 7 paintings. So it was very exciting, and I made actually a really close friend who I'm still friends with today, who was across the way from me. So that's the definite benefit of participating in the fair. So the second time I did the other art fair, and this started about 5 or 6 years ago. I was doing it about 5 or 6 years ago. We were in Santa Monica, and I showed a different body of work. I do also figurative work, and I showed nudes. And I actually did some parts. I did a demonstration. I hired a model, not nude, but a model to come, and so that I could paint well for people when they were there. And I sold almost nothing. So that was disappointing. And I thought, oh, well, it's too bad, but let's try it again. So then we did it one more time, and I think it was again in Santa Monica. Yes, it was in Santa Monica. And you would think that Santa Monica would be a better fair than downtown, because the demographic of collectors on the west side of LA is higher. It's wealthier than
Yeah.
the downtown area. And we did sell some work the third time we did it, and it was back to the original work that was florals, but we broke even. So there are three totally different experiences. One doing well, one not doing well at all, and one breaking even. So, you know, um, I can't say. I don't know. I don't know if I would recommend it again. I personally am not going to do it again, because I'm sort of starting. Basically transitioning out of art fairs. I think it is very physically difficult to do art fairs. You have to travel. You have to move your work in and out. You have to hang the work. You have to be there all day, cheerful.
Talking to the people, be a salesperson.
Yeah, and then packing everything up and getting it out. So I've realized that at a certain point, physically, I don't want to do it anymore. But I think it's definitely worth trying as a young artist. So yeah.
Taaye, I have a question for you. You were actually seriously considering going to maybe next year, going to one of the art fairs to actually show your work there. That was your original intention when you first decided to visit them, and just to see if it's worth it, or how to show your art best. But after visiting both fairs, would you say that's something for you? Why or why not?
It's really hard to say, because like what Anna was saying, there are three different experiences on the same person, and really depends on the year whether you can break even or even make a profit or not. So Anna, you're local, and like your cost is basically the booth plus your time, right? I'm not local to LA or Seattle. Like those are the two sites that are closest to me. So my costs will even be higher, because I have to come all the way from Vancouver, Canada to LA or Seattle. So I have to think about either, taking the plane or taking my car, and there's, implications, cost implication behind those. Rent a hotel and stay there a couple of days, and, at least 4 days during the fair, and, one day after and before. So LA, it's a bit cheaper in terms of renting a hotel because there's more availability. Seattle, from my last experience, was very, very expensive to rent a Airbnb. Adding everything into the equations, I'm guessing like, either fare, I'll have to spend at least, the booth is about 21.75 for the booth itself. And then let's say everything else was like $2,000-3,000. So I'm guessing I'm spending at least 5,000 US dollars. Like just for coming. I guess like I'll have to evaluate whether either experience could make me back that $5,000. Obviously, I can just say, okay, this $5,000, I'm just pretending that I'm throwing it out on the oceans, and that's $5,000. I'm not a millionaire. That's a lot of money. If I'm feeling financially okay, I have something I can, splurge a little bit that year, and I do want to connect with the local community in either Seattle or LA. Sure, I'll go for it. But I think I'm gonna think about it, and then I'm gonna do it once my community here in Vancouver is a bit more solid. Then maybe perhaps I'll think about going down to Seattle or LA. I'm sure it's gonna be a fantastic experience. Some year you can break even, and some year you can even make a profit. And I was interviewing this artist. His name is Alec Cumming, and he was having the same point as Anna. It's not so much about one year; it's about consistently being there. This artist that I interview is actually from London, UK. So he had an even longer way than I do. So even he said, some years are really good, some years are really bad, but it's about consistently showing up and just like letting people recognize your face, letting them know, like building connections that way, and just getting to people to know you and have a presence there. So you can actually build a presence in LA.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think for young artists, just popping in and doing a random fair here and there is not necessarily the best goal. I mean, if that's what you can afford, you're gonna learn.
Great. Yeah.
But maybe the financial part of it won't pay off, but you will learn things. But if you can set your sights on either a fair, an open studio that happens once a year or twice a year, and you say, okay, for the next 5 years, I am going to do this. And the first time, you're not going to know anybody, and people are going to go, huh. And you might maybe not get too many visitors, or you may not sell anything. And then you do it the second time. And then people start to say, oh, I remember you. I remember, oh, they're consistent. And then, it's about building consistency and doing a fair over and over. And I think that that's a really good thing, that, way to look at it.
I only wish that, I'm local in LA or Seattle, so the other affair or Superfine will be more accessible to me. But unfortunately, because of my geographic constraint, it's extra expensive. Like if I were local in LA, yeah, sure, I'll try, I'll come back to the other affair years after years. It's $2,000, but if you're hired accountant, you can probably factor in your tax deductions and stuff like that. But unfortunately, just for me as a newcomer, it's just extra expensive. Like it's not $2,000, it's at least 5K. So I just got to think about that.
But do you think it is good to even like attend an art fair in front of your doorstep? Because that's like you're already there. Instead of paying a lot of money for the art fairs, you can just do a side events. There are many side events happening, I'm pretty sure, like in every major art fair. There are a lot of artist studios doing like studio works. And why wouldn't you like spend that money and travel to like further away so that you access another market otherwise would be impossible for you to access? Just
Wait, I have an opinion on that. Every community, whether it's small or medium or rural or cosmopolitan, deserves art. And if there is no art fair, or if there is no community where, where there's art showing, do it yourself. Be that community leader, and that's valuable. It's so for years and years I lived in San Diego, and San Diego is not a great art community. It's got universities that have art schools, but it's sort of between LA and Tijuana. And if San Diego and Tijuana could combine as an art destination, but because the border is so problematic, it can't. It's tried and it can't. So I was sort of languishing in San Diego. And so I would go to LA and I would establish connections in LA. But that didn't mean that there wasn't very good reasons for me to try to build community in San Diego. And I did. And it did help my career. So I think, Taaye, if you were to say, listen, Vancouver, right? Uh, there's nothing happening. I'll start it. I'll get together with 10 friends who all have artist studios or in this group, and then you start to build. And there's people who will support you. There's people who want art, and there's younger people than even you, who are like looking to you to be a leader. And so I think that that's really a noble thing to do.
I recently moved into a new art studio in Vancouver, and it's a new building that was built. It was rented out from the Vancouver government to art, specifically this organization that rented out to artists and designers. So everything is new, and like everything is being built right now. Like we constantly have contractors on site, like fixing the door, fixing the elevator, etc. I'm trying to get to know everyone in the building right now, but in the near future, I'll build enough connections that eventually we can start our own little art fair within the building. Let's say, or like art and design fair within the building. Hopefully the organization is hearing this right now. Like hopefully like they like this idea and like they're watching this video. If not, I'll send that to them.
You don't need their approval. We are not in certain countries where getting a public event requires a certain legal permits, right? I heard it's a free country.
We'll see about that.
But would you spend the same amount of money and effort combined, let's say, starting your own mini open studio / art design fair, or would you rather spend that money going to a bigger brand like Saatchi, the other art fair, instead? Because you would spend probably in the end similar amount of time and money, because what you don't spend on money, you spend in time. Yes, it is your own, but you're also doing a service to other people, which might appreciate and might not. What would you choose?
I say for me, I'll put the money down and go to like a Saatchi fair, just because everything has already been done for me. I want to just focus on selling my art and making art. But I'm guessing like if once I get older, I have a better community. I have more, like more connections. Then I'm more empowered to organize my own event. Yes, I know those are money that you could put in the time, but I feel like every time you organize an event, it just people recognize you as an organizer versus a participant, and that's a big difference in terms of perceptions and reputations.
I think that having those skills, and I think you do, Taaye, to be able to organize and still be an artist. I'm still an artist. People want to see my work, but they also know that I'm running things, and that's a powerful thing. I think that power and respect for a woman in the arts is an amazing thing, and you're gonna be more successful than selling your work and becoming that kind of artist that's making thousands of dollars, and that's so rare. That getting that success is so rare. You can have success as an organizer. You can even have financial success as an organizer that can come back to you, and you can still sell your work. And I think that you'll have better results. But that's just me. But I also think that it's the right thing to do in terms of community and helping and being a good citizen, and not just thinking about all I care about is selling my work. No, we need to give back as artists.
Every business, like the other art fair, is a business. They are not there to help artists. They're there to make money. But we can't ask them to be altruistic, to do everything for free and give back to the society. Maybe they do their own corporate responsibility program. Actually they do. Taaye mentioned that they actually do some kind of mentorship, scholarship that they offer a handful of artists around the world to be at the fair for completely free. So they are doing some of that, but not everything, of course not. It's a company made for profit. So just from the pure business side, do you think they are giving you good value from the artists you met, or maybe Anna, from your personal experience? Do you think they did everything in their own power to satisfy their promises, to push their artists forward?
I just looked up the website for Los Angeles specifically. 32 square feet booth is $2,100. That's the cheapest. You get 2 lights, and you sell on site. They're gonna take 15% of commission. If you make a sale within 1 month after the fair, and that customer got to know you because of meeting you at the other art fair, they are still gonna take that 15% of commission. So that's the money part. About the program that you were mentioning, Mo, actually, I got to know about this because I was talking to one of the artists. Her name is Natalia Cama. Hopefully, I pronounced her name correctly because it's a Colombian last name. The program, it's called New Future. And what you get is that you get a booth, the small size of booth, for free. And you also get mentorship from the other affair directors on marketing and pricing. So you get to be there to show your work for free, basically. After the event, you get to be a lifetime membership to the other affair global exhibitor community. This word from their websites. So I guess like you get to be still connected to the community online if you were in this New Future program.
There is one thing though you mentioned from the website is they say they give you 2 lights and tiny how many square feet, because I don't know square feet, I'm in the square meter world, so for me square feet is very odd. I see from the pictures they're like tiny little booths, and the number of lights is kind of weird because usually in a European art fair all the lights are included. You can bring your own light, usually it's not forbidden, but they don't usually charge lights. What is that?
Yeah, they do. They charge lights, and you should get extra lights. You absolutely should. And we did. You can get there and I think order them when you're there. But if your booth is dark, people won't come in. One of the most important things when you're showing art, you need good light, and so you should pay their price. You can't bring your own lights. There's no electricity. They have to hang them because there's there's union rules and everything. So, and they want everything to look uniform. So I understand that. But yeah, you have to pay for extra lights, and so that adds cost. So yeah, really important.
If you want more light, they charge more light. If you want, I don't know, anything special, like if you want your walls to be painted in a different color, they also charge that?
I'd imagine so. Yeah.
Wow. So it's like a rain air kind of a low-cost airline. You want to bring anything on board, you pay a ticket. You want any beverage or food, snacks, you pay.
I have gone to many art fairs locally in Los Angeles, different art fairs. I haven't gone to the ones that are super, super expensive, but I've also there's an art fair that happens in San Diego once a year. We now have gone down to the Palm Springs Art Fair. I've participated in that. Like, for example, the Palm Springs Art Fair. Sometimes it's not good. The quality of the art, they're letting in a lot of vanity booths. So normally a regular art fair only allows galleries. But if they don't fill their booths, they allow artists to come in. And then you have a bunch of really schlocky art, and that's not good. But then there'll be times where the Palm Springs Art Fair is really good. But no matter what the art fair, only a few of the booths do well. Only a few. It's the numbers are not good. It's like gambling at Las Vegas. You're gonna lose most of the time. So you just have to say, are the other reasons for going to the art fair, the experience, the connections you might make, seeing if you've never shown your work, do people like it? What kind of person likes your work? Like I know the kind of people that buy my work. And I'm not, if somebody who's 25 wearing, really trendy clothes comes in my booth, I'm glad they're going to come, but they're not going to buy my work. I know who's going to buy my work, and I know how they're going to dress, and I know what they're going to like. So that's really good information that you can get at that kind of fair. But yeah, going in thinking you're going to make a profit, it's hard. It's really hard. The chances are that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and what Anna brought up is really true because from one of the artists that I interview him specifically because his entire wall was gone. His entire was gone. Like I was like, wow, you're doing very well. And I try really hard to interview him. And I was like, oh, is this your first time? He was like, no, I've been here many times. I was like, have you always done this work? He's like, of course not. And I was like, well, did you notice anything? He was like what Anna was saying, 1 year would be very, very good. Another year would be like, oh, nothing. And then the next year will be like, oh, break even. And then the cycle keeps going on, going. And I asked him specifically, did you do anything different from the year that you did really well to the year that you didn't do so well? And he was like, I'm still the same me. I still bring in the same quality of work. It's kind of like what Anna was saying. It's Las Vegas. It's gambling. So there's no factors. Seems like to me there's no factors that you can say if I do this, and this, I'll get my return for sure. One of the artists I interviewed mentioned that she did get a gallery representation and a show because she was in the art fair several years ago, but I don't know how often that happens.
I don't think galleries would actually go there to pick the artists, but I think it is a good thing in your curriculum because you're showing that you're willing to go out there, promote your work, and pay for the booth. That is to say, you're willing to play this game, gambling or not. And that shows that you've got some balls, you've got some, keenness, and that's an attitude rather than, I think, anything else.
Yeah. And you're going to do social media, you're going to put videos up, you're going to be saying, hey, I'm at the other art fair. And then, and that lives on your grid or, important.
It sounds nice to have something on your resume that's like, I exhibited in LA and New York, so it's more like a vanity frame kind of thing.
Well, it is. I mean, hello, you pay for it, you pay for your chance to show, and that's it. It is like a vanity. I mean, it is.
So one of the artists, Alec, I was asking him what's the difference between a more traditional art fair versus like the art fair. More traditional art fair is gallery represented, right? Artists are represented by galleries versus the art fair, you represent yourself as an artist. One of the point that he brought up, which I thought was really nice, he said they kind of work in harmony, these two types of art fair. They touch on different types of people, different types of art collector. The traditional art fair, because it's gallery, they have their established clientele. So you are only able to tap into that if you are, in connections with the gallery, right? Versus the other art fair or like, Superfine, any self-represented festival, art event like this, most of the people that comes are new art collectors, like first time collectors. So it's kind of like a stepping stone for them. And it's like, those are the artists that perhaps are not going to be on the clientele of a well-established gallery. So, by being there in the art fair or Superfine, you get to talk to those people, like first time art collectors.
It does serve a purpose for new artists to have a chance, for the new collectors to, get a taste of art collecting. Super important. But still, I couldn't get my head around. Usually, what you are talking about different types of art fairs, but there's not any type of art fair that I know in my life that takes a percentage on top of the fees. On top
It's
of
Saatchi. It's Saatchi.
I mean, I don't know anyone else who does it, and it really it's still bugging me. And I'm like, wait, after the fair, they still want to charge you like after like a month after, And when you say 15%, I was like, wait a second. Usually, Saatchi, the website, is charging 35%. So that 15% is on top of the 35 or is instead of the 35? I don't know yet. Anna, do you know anything?
I don't. And in fact, I'm not on Saatchi anymore. I had some bad experiences, and I've known other artists who've had bad experiences. I have a friend who has done really well with Saatchi, and he's in, their corporate offices, and so he starts to sell artwork without Saatchi's help, and they come after him for for that. They almost feel like they own him, and so, they can be sort of ruthless in that. My reason that I stopped my relationship with Saatchi is that twice I had paintings sell from the website. Well, I would sell paintings occasionally, and I'm like very happy, but twice I had them returned. And and Saatchi also, like, let's say you have a painting for $1,000. They have coupons that they can say, oh, you can have anything you want for 20% off. And so all of a sudden you say, oh, you sold your $1,000 painting for 800. And then they take their 35%, and you're like, what? I didn't agree to that. But you have to read the print. They can use these coupons. So that's one thing. So you're like, oh, I got to put all my prices up. And then, but I sold a pretty large painting through Saatchi, and I was excited. I'm like, great. I was supposed to put it in a wooden crate, but I didn't, I'm glad I didn't. It was lightweight, but it was big. I had it professionally crated up, and you have to pay for that yourself, the artist does. And that's fine. I knew that. And then it was returned. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And so I pick it up from the shipping, and so I'm out that $250 that I spent for shipping it, right? For building this, having it professionally wrapped, and on the return address there was the return. So I looked that person up. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna call them, and it was a designer. And I called her and I said, hey, I know I'm not, supposed to, because Saatchi doesn't let you know who buys your painting, right? So I called this person and I said, what happened? And she said, oh, I really love the painting, but you know what? The blue was not what was on the monitor. And I was floored because this was with a painting with lots of blues. And I was like, maybe your calibration is off, but I just realized this is a game I can't win. I'm done. I'm done with this. I can't sell art online like this. It's too upsetting to me. That said, my partner, he's still on Saatchi, he sold a big painting. And I was like, okay, prepare yourself. It might not sell, it might come back, but it didn't, and he was very happy. So he's still on Saatchi. So I'm not saying it's a really bad thing, but I don't want to do that. The disappointment was too much, and I'm like, I can't.
I have a feeling because I know a lot of interior designer friend. I have a feeling what happened there was that they probably ordered quite a few paintings. Like they maybe have like a blue wall that they're trying to find a painting to match that specific blue. Or if his explanation is, let's pretend that he's being honest with you for 1 second. Like maybe he ordered a couple of paintings and he's just lining it up in front of the wall. And he's like, oh, this one doesn't match, this one doesn't match. And then they save like maybe one or two at the end. And then send back whatever that is not matching. So it's kind of like...
it's even worse that maybe this designer is just prospecting with some clients and he's going to resell it to his clients and his client didn't want, so...
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
Yeah,
but the presence is definitely a pro. Actually, the customer is there, you're there, there's a connection, and there's a contract made, there's a purchase. You get not everything, but if you would have sold the exact piece on Saatchi, you get only 65%, but in this case, you at least get more, 85%. And then you just have to work it out to see how many pieces you actually sell in order to cover the booth cost and your own transport and the hotel and missing work and what other opportunity
And
costs.
then one other handyman to help you, perhaps want a friend to help you. Do you have to pay him or her, you know?
I think the more I look at the prices, and especially in North America, it's very expensive. Actually, I looked all the locations. I was looking for like the other art fair location in a developing world. I was like, oh, let's see where it's cheap to practice art selling. And I looked. I was like, okay, London, no. You know, like New York, oh, too expensive. So everywhere is just super expensive, and it seems like for an artist to start this game is going to incur a lot of cost. There's no other cheap and easy way to start selling your art. Not even like for like Saatchi Online or Art Finder, they're like 35%, 40%. I think even there are some like 50%. So
I mean, I'm looking up at the pricing right now of how much the booth has cost. The cheapest you can go is Chicago and Dallas. The smallest booth there, which is 32 square feet, is 1,800. So, you know, those two cities, it's still it's still money. It's still money.
yeah, I
But
mean it's 10% cheaper. Yeah.
yeah, but you know, like it's $200 or whatever, $300 cheaper. So, and Chicago, you know, it's expensive, but it's not as expensive as New York. And
I don't want to be that. I don't want to be discouraging to people. I think that you enjoy the process, you try things, you learn to be flexible as an artist, you learn to pivot, and you realize I'm going to have a lot of jobs. I'm going to live in maybe a lot of different places. Or if you're not, like I felt for a long time, I have to leave San Diego if I want to make it as an artist. And I eventually was able to, you know, but it took me some years. Um, I think that it's just a matter of being flexible and saying, okay, this is gonna work for now, and it may not work forever. I mean, we're finding a lot relying on social media, relying on. I have friends who relied on Etsy, and for years Etsy was good, and then boom, gone. The whole business is gone. You know, you'll survive because of all of the things you learned along the way. And so if going to art fairs is one of the things that you'll learn a lot from, I say it's worth it. It's worth that $5,000. And Ty, I think you should try it and then realize, okay, now I'm going to take all that stuff I learned and I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to do something else. You know, I'm going to do something in my own town, Vancouver, or I'm going to realize, no, I have to focus on moving to London or Seattle or LA, whatever, to move my career forward. And that should be a goal, you know. So listen, I have to go. I'm so sorry. It's lovely to talk with you, and I hope we
see
do it
you, Anna.
again. Yeah.
It's so nice to see you again, Anna.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you. Bye. Now Anna is logged off. Now we can continue. I do have a last question though. Let's say you're going to spend the same amount of money on either of them. Which one would you go? Well, I can ask this question because you know, this video is not sponsored, neither do the last video, so we don't you know, have people pay us to say things good or bad about themselves or their competitor. So it doesn't matter. We're free to say what we want.
It's so difficult because there's benefit and drawback to each of them. Like Superfine is in Seattle. It's so much closer. I can just take my car, drive 3 hours down, and voila, we be there, right? Versus like LA, it's 40 hour of a drive down there, or we have to take the plane, which has a lot of restrictions to itself. On the upside, LA is cheaper in terms of hotel renting and you know, has a larger art scene, and I definitely want to establish myself there sometime in the future. Being associated with Saatchi, it might comes with its own branding thing, so you know it's nice. But as we talk about in this video, there's so much cost implications and like 15% commission, all that those good fee
Yeah.
related to
And
that.
you want one light, you pay for it. You want
Exactly.
one whatever, you know.
And in terms of crowds, like, you know, just be honest, like, there was way more people at the other art fair. So yeah, you definitely get to meet more people. Versus Superfine, at least during the day at the time period that I visited, it wasn't a huge crowd. So I'm guessing you can hold a longer conversation with people that way. And also, when I was visiting Superfine in Seattle, there was actually a huge art weekend there in the entire city. They draw people in that way too. Like people go from one site to the other site versus the other affair in LA this time. I felt like it's more like an isolated event happening in Santa Monica. I really think that there's drawback and benefit to each of them, so I gotta think about it. Yeah, I don't have an answer right now.
Before ending the video, I just want to quickly talk about our community. That is how we met online, and that is how this whole trip happened with Taaye visiting Anna, meeting her at her residency, at her home. So we have a online community on our Patreon. So if you want to join to see exclusive content, monthly get together, and other perks like coaching, come to our page and check it out. That's all for today for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Taaye, for sharing your experience at the other art fair. And maybe next year, when you're actually there, we can all visit you at your booth.
That would be great.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, bye!
Bye.